All right. Good morning and welcome to our webinar on Marketplace E. My name is Matt Ackley, and I'm Senior Vice President of Digital and Product Management at Ritchie Bros. I came in through the Iron Planet acquisition about 9 months ago, and today I'm glad to say I'm happy to be wearing orange. Today we're gonna talk about marketplaces today, and specifically when we talk about marketplaces, we talk about combining, connecting buyers and sellers. I've been doing marketplaces mostly online, for the past 20 years. I had the opportunity to work at a couple smaller companies. I also had the opportunity to work at eBay, which is where I sort of gathered a lot of my information about marketplaces. And when it comes down to it, marketplaces are, like I said, are about connecting buyers and sellers. Well, in order to connect buyers and sellers, in order to build efficient marketplaces, it's all about delivering choice. And today we're going to talk about choice of formats, right? So when you think about Ritchie Bros today, right, we offer the world's leading marketplace for heavy equipment. And the way we do that now with the combination of Ritchie Bros and Iron Planet is we provide choice by giving buyers and sellers multiple ways to transact. Right now, Ritchie Bros has been doing this for roughly 60 years. We're well known for our live on-site auctions. Right, some of the biggest on-site auctions in the world, like our recent auction in Orlando. Right, bringing thousands and thousands of buyers together, selling millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of heavy equipment. Just a great format that we utilize all over the world. With the acquisition of Iron Planet, basically we now bring a regular weekly online auction to the portfolio. And it operates in much the same way as our live auction, but it takes place every week, allowing buyers and sellers to connect, from all over the globe using the power of the internet. Today, we're going to talk about a third way to transact, or a third way to connect buyers and sellers, and that's in our new reserved online marketplace, which we call Marketplace E. Now, the reason we built Marketplace E is we know that, throughout the years, while auctions are an amazing way to transact both live and online and have proven very, very successful for the disposition of heavy equipment, right? We know that there are people out there that, in many cases don't want to buy at an auction, don't have time for an auction. There are certain types of items that don't make sense for an auction. There are many times sellers don't want to use an auction, right? Or they want a little bit more control. And so what we've done is we've combined the best of both worlds. Iron Planet, before the acquisition, had a section of its site called the Daily Marketplace. Ritchie Bros had Equipment One. We brought those two together into something we now call Marketplace E. We soft launched Marketplace E last fall, and now we're happy to say that we're ready to go, big and bad with this new solution. So if you think about, what is Marketplace E? As I mentioned, it's a new way to buy and sell from Ritchie Bros. You've primarily known Ritchie Bros as an unreserved auction marketplace, and now we're bringing together new formats that are more reserved in nature. They provide more control to the buyers, and they provide more control for the sellers and additional selection for the buyers. In many ways, these are more retail-like formats. If you think about, there are many buyers out there that want to come along, visit a marketplace, pick up something right away. They may not want to wait for the next auction, right? So now we have a format that gives buyers choice and gives sellers more control. So how does this work? So Marketplace E is right now is a new section of the ironplanet.com website. Buyers can access Marketplace E items through a hub page. They can access it through the categories, but it's a place where we've taken all these items, all these reserve formats, and we've combined them together in a single place under a single brand that basically allow buyers to easily find these items, transact the way they want to transact, and get on with their day. So there are three primary types of items, three primary types of formats when we talk about Marketplace E. First is buy now. And I'm going to get into these in a little bit, but buy now is, you're probably familiar with the buy now concept. It's basically just like e-commerce. It allows somebody to come in and buy the item right away. The other format is something we call make offer. Basically, this is a way for sellers to put up items, set in some cases they can add a buy now price to it, and basically buyers can come in and make offers on the item, and then there's the way to think about it is there's sort of an online negotiation that takes place. And then the third format we have as part of Marketplace E is a basic reserve auction. So this is an auction that functions like a typical unreserved auctions, but there's a reserve price on it. And that basically gives the seller a little bit more control over pricing. So when we think about these formats, let's dive into the buy now format. Here's an example of a buy now format currently live on Marketplace E on the ironplanet.com platform. As you see here, it's a relatively, when you think of our inventory, right, it's a relatively lower price item. It's not a massive item that costs, $500,000, $600,000. Something that's, quite frankly, more typical of an e-commerce transaction, right, that you might find elsewhere on the web. Buy now is a format, it operates just like something might on Amazon.com or any other e-commerce site. The buyer comes along, once he clicks the buy now button, he goes through a confirmation process, and then the item belongs to that buyer. The transaction is paid for just the way items are paid for on Iron Planet. The buyer will send in the money. We will not ship the item until we get the money from the buyer, right? So the whole escrow process is in place. But the main difference here is that there is no negotiation of price. The buyer simply, this is the price. The seller has set the price, in this case, for $13,900, right? And then boom, right? Once the buyer clicks buy now, that item is transacted. The buyer owns it, obviously subject to payment and things of like that nature. Now, with this format, right, this format, like I said, tends to lend itself to newer items, items that are more, this could be a bad word, but commodity in nature, right? So parts, accessories, attachments, any place where it just doesn't make sense to do a lot of haggling over the price of the item. The buyers want convenience. They just want to get it now, and they want to go. So this is buy now. Now, its cousin is make offer. And the interesting thing about buy now and make offers, you can start to actually combine the two formats. So make offer works like an online negotiation. So in this case of the combination, looking at this excavator, there's a buy now price of $200,000. If a buyer wants to come along and take this item, they can merely select the item, hit the buy now button, boom, they own the item for $200,000. However, the buyers also have the capability to make an offer. And you can see here the current high offer on this item is $168,000. And what this allows buyers to do and sellers to do is, once again, work their way up and achieve the optimal price which satisfies both parties. So in the case of a make offer format, sellers can come along buyers can come along and make any offer. Now, when I say make any offer, obviously, somebody can come along and put $100 in here as an offer. We don't encourage that, but buyers have the ability to do that. Now, as a seller, right, as somebody who is busy and doesn't have a lot of time, right, these are probably offers you don't want to be dealing with, right? You have a price in mind that you want to sell this piece of equipment for. Ideally, you'd like $200,000, but it's up to you. You may want to let it go for something more, or something less, or somebody may want to offer something more. Anyway, what we allow you to do with this format as a seller is set what we call a threshold price. So in this case, you know, you want $200,000 for this item, but you know what? You're willing to consider offers over a certain price. And let's say that's $160,000. You can set that threshold price. And what that means is that any item below that price, you won't even hear about. However, any item that comes in above your threshold price will actually notify you, right? And once you're notified, you then have you and the buyer can start to engage in a online negotiation. So example, right? Here is a dashboard that the seller sees when looking at or managing their make offer items. You can see here, this is available from the My Account section of the ironplanet.com platform. Right there, you have a tab that allows you to manage offers. And you can see the number of offers coming in, right? The price of those offers. And then you basically have the opportunity to take action on those offers. What can you do? Well, you can accept the offer. If you accept the offer, boom, the listing closes. You have, the buyer is going to get the piece of equipment at that offer price. Obviously, you're selling that piece of equipment. The item comes, the listing comes down, and the transaction is complete. You can outright decline the offer. And, obviously, once you decline the offer, no transaction will take place. The last thing you can do is you can actually counter the offer. And this is where the online negotiation piece starts to pick up. So once you counter the offer, the buyer has the ability to counter back. So essentially what you've done is you've established a situation where you can engage in some of the dynamic pricing activities that you find in an auction. And we know that in this industry, dealing with large, unique pieces of equipment, dynamic pricing is the format which leads to the best transactions, right? You're maximizing the benefit to the buyer and the seller at the same time. Now, what it does for the seller and the buyer does two things. For the seller, you still have control over the price, unlike an unreserved auction. For the buyer, there's a little more convenience here because you have the potential to get the offer quickly, or get the piece of equipment quickly before waiting, as opposed to waiting to the auction date. So once again, trying to satisfy both ends of the equation. Now, we have seen great success with the Make Offer platform to date. We've been testing it out on Iron Planet for a little over a year now. It's a great way to transact. One of the other benefits of the Make Offer platform is we actually have a team of people inside Ritchie Bros who actually work with both buyers and sellers to make sure they get the information they need, their offers get in and are responded to in the right way. So we'll often work with both sides to kind of help you through the process. And you may hear from them occasionally. They're our inside sales team. They reach out to buyers and sellers alike and try to kind of get you guys to the point where the piece of equipment can transact. Now, the last format we have in Marketplace E is a standard reserve price auction format. For those of you who may not be familiar with a reserve price auction, it actually operates just like a regular auction. An opening price is set, bids come in, bidders come in and bid against each other. As they bid, the price goes up, and there's an ending time. Now, the only difference between a reserve price auction and a regular auction is that with a reserve price, if at the time the auction ends, the high bid amount hasn't met the reserve set by the seller, then the transaction does not occur. So the bidders have to bid the auction to a point over the reserve price. Now, as a seller, once again, it gives you more control. You don't have to worry about the piece of equipment selling below a price that you are not willing to take. And so once again, this is a control type format for the seller, but it's a situation that operates like a regular auction for the buyers out there that like the thrill and the passion of participating, in the auctions. So once again, 3 formats as part of Marketplace E. You have the straight buy it now. You have the make offer combined with the buy now, and then you have the reserve auction format. All these formats are designed to go with our typical, live unreserved format and our weekly online featured events, giving buyers and sellers the most choice when it comes to, buying a piece of equipment or either disposing of that piece of equipment. And we basically offer these formats across all our categories at Iron Planet and Ritchie Brothers. One of the most interesting things about the merger of the two companies is seeing the progress, right? As we build out rbauction.com, as we build out ironplanet.com, as we add these new formats, as we make it easier for sellers to sell and easier for buyers to buy, giving you more choice across all the different formats and all the different venues has been key to what we've done in the 9 months since our merger. Now, along those lines, one of the things you've probably likely seen if you have been a active user of either rbauction.com or ironplanet.com is the fact that we've begun to sort of mix and mingle the inventory together. One of the things we know about online, and this has come with the advent of search, with the advent of online marketplaces, is that buyers, when they're visiting online websites, they're looking for a piece of equipment. And so what we've done with our search results is we've actually started to commingle, if you will, the different formats. So when somebody comes on to Iron Planet and they do a search for wheel loaders, we are showing them all the formats, right? We show them the weekly online auction from Iron Planet. We show them the marketplace e-items, and then we actually even show them the live unreserved listings from RB. And you can see on the left there is a screenshot of Iron Planet. You can see, I can sort and filter by type. I can sort and filter by buying format. And many of the other facets, as we like to call them, of each particular listing. This gives the buyers choice, and it gives the sellers maximum exposure. Because when you look at the traffic patterns of the site and how people get to the site, buyers tend to go through this search option, whether they're coming from Google, whether they come to Iron Planet directly, they're utilizing search more and more, and we want to expose the equipment and these formats to them when they're doing that search. Now, at the same time, we've also added marketplace e-listings to Ritchie Bros and the rbauction.com site. What we're doing here, same concept, giving buyers the choice of format, giving buyers and giving sellers the maximum exposure, because that's what we've done, right? And this is critical. You've got two of the largest, if not the largest, buying base out there. Just the global reach of Iron Planet and Ritchie Brothers is unparalleled when it comes to the heavy equipment industry. And by combining listings across the two sites, we're giving sellers maximum exposure and we're giving buyers maximum choice when it comes to searching for and finding the piece of equipment they're looking for. So once again, this is new, and this is where we get excited about bringing the best of both worlds together and about continuing to innovate, right, in the area of online marketplaces, things such as search, things such as the buyer experience, right? The teams are really excited to bring these two experiences together, right, and expose these formats in unique and innovative ways. Finally, I just wanted to end with something very, very interesting. The advent of these formats, specifically in the heavy equipment industry, and what I'm primarily talking about is the buy now format, it gives us additional opportunities when it comes to marketing equipment on behalf of our sellers. I also had the opportunity to spend a couple years at Google, and one of the things that Google offers as an advertising format, and you've probably seen this in other types of searches, is something called Google Shopping, right? And Google Shopping is a unique experience for an advertiser in that you submit items to Google, right, in a nightly feed, and Google selects which items to show, right, in these little boxes, either at the top of the search results or to the side of the search results. You see the picture there and so forth. Well, There's a couple unique requirements in order to be eligible to participate in this format. One, the item has to have a buy now button and be able to transact online. Two, you have to have a return policy. And the good news for this, for Marketplace e-items, is Marketplace e-items come with ironclad assurance, which nobody's really sending an excavator back through the mail, but ironclad assurance operates, if you will, as a return policy, or at least we've got, Google has agreed to that stipulation. So what this means is all items with the buy now price on them become eligible for this new marketing format, right? And that is a great opportunity for sellers to get additional exposure, right, for their items. And this is a unique buying experience because it allows, for pretty much the first time in the heavy equipment space, we have a situation where you can do a search on Google and be led directly to a particular product and then have the opportunity to either buy that product or negotiate on that product. So we are extremely excited about, offering this new channel to our sellers in order to drive buyers to their listings. So with the combination of all this, right, you can start to see that, we are innovating and we're working hard to provide our buyers and sellers with many more options when it comes to transacting heavy equipment, right? For years, we've been known for the live, on-site, unreserved auction. That's been the staple of Ritchie Bros. But in the past 9 months, with the addition of the Iron Planet weekly event, which is an all online event powered by, ironclad assurance, connecting buyers and sellers all over the world. And then with the introduction of Marketplace E, a reserved marketplace, giving both sellers the control that they need and buyers the flexibility they have when it comes to format and timing. We now feel like we've taken this first step in really merging the two companies together to provide unparalleled choice for both our buyers and sellers. So with that, I'm going to open it up to a couple of questions. I know we don't have much time here. We did a quick webinar on this, but we're excited about this new format. So if you have questions, why don't you begin to fire away? We've got a few already. Let me look at this. Oh, wow, lots of them. Is Marketplace E self-serve or is that an option, or will Iron Planet create all my listings for me? Right now, we don't offer a self-serve format. There are, we're working on that as part of some of our platform solutions work. But right now, these listings are created just like any other Iron Planet listing, right? Working through your TM, working through our sales support team. These items are listed onto Iron Planet just as if they were an item listed into the weekly featured auction. So right now, no self-serve option, but once again, as I mentioned, as we continue to innovate around the platform, that is something that I expect we'll be working on in the next year or two. What else do we have here from a question? Will the seller lower the price as the time goes on? So that's an interesting question. One of the things about the make offer format is that it does provide the seller feedback as to what the true market price of the item may be. So as a seller, I may put something out there, and I may be a little bit ambitious with the price I'm looking, but you never know, right? So you never know, right? So it becomes, and we see make offer used, in many cases for equipment that is a little unique in nature, right? Where I'm not sure of, hey, what is the market demand for this piece of equipment? And so by using the make offer format, you can put it out there and you can start to test demand and see where the offers come in. Now, over time, you may, maybe I've been a little ambitious, so I lower the price I'm willing to take for this piece of equipment. That's certainly something we've seen happen in the past. But once again, that remains a decision up to each individual seller and they can manage that process as the time goes on. Here's a good question: what analytics tools are available for buyers and sellers using the Marketplace E platform? We have a couple of approaches to this, primarily on the seller side. So as you saw in the one screenshot, right, we have a dashboard that allow the sellers to see their incoming offers and so forth. Now, for our larger sellers, right, one of the things we are beginning to build out is more, I would say, advanced selling tools that provide sellers with more holistic information, around traffic. For instance, the number of people who are viewing their listing, the number of people who have added it to their watch list, let's say, as well as providing sellers with data related to pricing information from all our various formats, including Ritchie Bros, Iron Planet, and even Mascus. Right. So as we build out these advanced tools, which we call right now we call platform solutions, sellers are going to have more and more access to the information they need to help them price items appropriately and basically accelerate sales on the platform. So once again, that is part of this initiative. Now that we've brought the two companies together, right, we're going to be taking the various platforms, combining them, and starting to build out these tools to help our buyers and our sellers. Let's see. I think you said the buyer makes payment to Iron Planet. Yeah. So basically, the payment process for those folks who maybe haven't used Iron Planet before. Basically, the way Iron Planet works is, think of it as an online marketplace with an escrow type account. So the seller consigns the piece of equipment to Ritchie Bros and Iron Planet. The item is then listed on the website. When the buyer purchases the item, basically the buyer is responsible for paying Iron Planet. We collect the payment on behalf of the seller, and then once we collect the payment from the buyer, we will then notify the buyer and the seller where the piece of equipment is, and the buyer can come pick up that piece of equipment. So the item is never released until the buyer pays. And then, basically as part of that transaction process, we then remit payment to the seller, right, extracting any commission fees along the way. Another good question: does Iron Planet give guidance on the right price for buy it now? Yes, that's one of the things we're starting to do more and more, is basically provide that type of guidance. One of the things we're very, very cautious of, and I want to put this out there, is that Marketplace E is designed for items that are intended to transact. Right? If you want to, if you're just out there and you just want to put something out there, if you're a seller and put something out there for a very high price, that's very, very unrealistic, Marketplace E is not the appropriate format. This is for items that you intend to sell, right? And in that way, we work with you on the best way to price those items. Right now, we do that work through our TMs, but as we start to build out these more advanced tools, we're actually going to be making those solutions available to sellers so that they can begin to think about, how to price their equipment appropriately and what the market demand is for that piece of equipment. Wow, we got lots of questions. I know we're over time, but I'm going to keep going with, because a lot of the good questions that are out here. So one is, does one ad get listed in all the forms? Yeah. So when you place an item up in Marketplace E, it gets distributed to all our online formats. So it'll get in marketplaces, it'll get distributed to rbauction.com. It'll be on ironplanet.com as well. And coming soon, most likely these items will be also seen on mascus.com. So our goal from a marketplace standpoint is to expose these listings to the biggest buyer base that we possibly can, because we know that that's what creates an efficient marketplace. If the buyer defaults, does the consignor still get paid? This is something that we deal with on a situation by situation basis. It depends. But one of the things one of the things we try to do, because it's not an auction format, all of this stuff is worked out ahead of time. So the listing is still live until the transaction is consummated. All right, ooh, lots of questions. Let me continue to go through here. Can this model be used by any type of seller? This model can be used by, this model can be used by any, we have a number of different levels of sellers across Iron Planet and Ritchie Bros, some large, some small. This format can be used by seller regardless of their size. Let me see, let me get some more here. There are lots of, who inspects the product? In this case, the inspections are done the same way they're done for the Iron Planet weekly auctions. Iron Planet, as many of you may know, was built on the back of something called Ironclad Assurance. Ironclad Assurance, basically, in order to sell a piece of equipment online. In fact, I came from eBay, and one of the biggest problems we had at eBay was trust, right? Is this piece of equipment really what the seller says it is? And I know that was something that hurt the eBay marketplace over the years. When I came to Iron Planet, it was amazing to see something like Ironclad Assurance, because it really, really solves the online trust issue. And it's how we can sell, 400, 500. To be honest, this morning, we sold a crane well north of $1 million through Marketplace E, right? And it's all done based on the inspections and Ironclad Assurance. So we have a team of roughly 300 inspectors around the world who are trained. A lot of them come, in fact, I think all of them come from the industry and the field, and they are trained to inspect all types of equipment. We have a patent on an inspection app. So this is the foundation of buying and selling online, is creating that trust through Ironclad Assurance. It's what built the weekly online auction, and it's also what powers Marketplace E. So right now, the most of the equipment in Marketplace E, right, is backed by Ironclad Assurance. We know that when it's backed by Ironclad Assurance, it brings the right price. And in order for it to be backed by Ironclad Assurance today, it gets inspected by the Iron Planet inspections team. Will this webinar be available to review at a later date? Yes, this webinar will be. We are recording this webinar, and once we are done here, we'll be sending it out to everybody who participated online, and basically you'll be able to share that recording as well. Here's another question. So a lot of questions about data and pricing, and I think this is an excellent area, and it's something we've begun to invest in a lot when it comes to how we work with our sellers and with our buyers. As many of you know or may have heard, that right before the acquisition, Iron Planet hired a head data scientist. We've been, combining that with the RB folks. We've been filling out a data analytics team and investing a lot in our data. And, right now we're in the midst of basically combining the data across the various entities so that we can provide the analytics and the pricing information that you as a seller and a buyer need to make the right decisions on the products you're selling and buying. And so, as I mentioned before, one of the things that I'm excited about in sort of my new role since I've come over, right, is the ability to start to expose these types of tools, these software components, these data components to our buyers and sellers to basically make you guys more informed. And so the more formats you have, the more marketplaces you have, the more data you have. At the same time, right, we're working to combine all that data across all these formats and provide that to our buyers and sellers so that they can make the right decision. The best way to think about it is that data is sort of the lubricant, right, to the marketplace, allowing it to operate efficiently. And that's something we intend to work on and expose in the right way moving forward, so that you guys can be both more efficient, more productive, and have better online experiences. So I think I've covered most of the questions, and I know we're running over time. One more question about the inspections that just popped up. So the inspection team, how do they work? They actually come to the site. They come to the place where the item is and will inspect the equipment on site. Once again, this is all about options. It's all about choice. One of the beautiful things about bringing these solutions together, these marketplaces together, is we give you choice. If you want to move it to an RB yard, you can move it to an RB yard and it can be inspected there. And it can actually be, it can actually be in the yard and sold in Marketplace E, right? If you don't want to move it, if you want to sell it, you don't want to pay the cost for transportation. You need to sell it. It's sitting at its location. It's sitting at the site. We actually send the inspectors out there, and they can inspect the equipment where it is. And then basically once the transaction is closed, the buyer will come to that site and take the piece of equipment away. So once again, this is all about choice, depending on where you are, what your situation is as a seller. Do I want to put it in the next sale that's close to me? Do I want to leave it where it is and sell it online? If I leave it where it is, do I want to sell it in an auction format? Do I want to sell it in a make offer format? Once again, very, 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 very conscious, very, very active about providing the most choice that we can for all our buyers and sellers. All right, I think with that, last question. This is going to be the last question. It's a great question. How do I get started? The best way to get started with this is to contact your local TM, right? And they have all the information you need to get this going, right? Once again, we're working on making the contracts the same, right? So that you work with your TM. He'll come out. He'll work with you as a trusted advisor to evaluate your equipment. Work with you. Hey, what maybe is the best format for you? And then boom, we take it from there, just like we would if you were selling it in an auction, whether live, online. And then if we decide, hey, this is something that might best be for Marketplace E, it starts through that same process. It starts by working with your TM. Our TMs are all trained on these formats, right? They're there to be a trusted advisor to help you, as a seller, find the right format, reach the right buyers, and get the price you need in the time you need to get it. That is their role. And now with all these options, right, it's like they can walk in with a Swiss Army knife and really, really help you as a seller, find the solution that meets your needs. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you found this informative. And like I said on that last point, if this is something you're interested in, the first step is get in touch with your local TM. Thank you very much and have a good day.